In the years when I worked towards and also had my big business breakthrough, my nervous system was running on constant alert. I couldn't have named it like this back then, but of course I felt it every single day. And still, I ran launches, I hosted webinars, I built a business that provided for me and my family, and eventually also got us out of Germany and all the way here to Costa Rica. What I didn't know at that time, I was doing all of that inside a marriage with a narcissist. And I didn't know because I thought I understood him. I studied his human design. I explained his profile lines. I analyzed his triggers. So I had a framework for everything. It just wasn't the right one. So this episode is not an easy one for me, but I think it's super necessary and important to talk about it because I know I'm not the only woman who has built her business under these circumstances. And because I've come to understand that what it does to you as a business owner, to your self-image, and especially to your energy, when you're constantly running on survival mode. There's a version of your brand that doesn't need to be pushed. It pulls. I'm Judith K. Ritz, founder of the Spirit Brand Academy, and this is the Magnetic Brand Podcast. Every week, we go deep on what actually makes a brand magnetic through human design, astrology, and archetypes. In solo episodes and real conversations with women who've built something that feels like them. Let's get into it. Until now, I have never spoken in public about what I'm going to share with you now in this episode, but now I felt it's the right time. I'm on my journey of sharing more authentic, like what's really going on inside my business, inside of me, behind the scenes that brought me to where I am now. And that is bringing me to where I want to go. And on Instagram, now more and more, I see comments under posts that talk about toxic relationships. I see there's a lot of women that are in toxic relationships and toxic marriages and that want to come out of there. Or maybe you who are listening, maybe you're in a toxic relationship and you want to come out of it and you're building a business. So with this episode, I want to share a little bit of my journey. I want to share with you how I still managed to build my business and how I also managed to get out of it, to get out of my toxic marriage. So I met my ex-husband back in 2012 when I went on holiday to Tobago, and we got married in 2014. So after a long distance relationship for about 2 years, and then we moved together back to Germany. Well, I moved back, he moved to Germany, and we started living there. And from this moment on, our relationship completely changed. So the first 2 years were super good, amazing. Like we brought out the best in each other and I was really happy. And from the moment on that we lived together in Germany, really like he made 180 degrees change. And I lived in a very difficult, toxic marriage for 8 years. So until 2022. And during this time, I built my business. I had 2 kids. My son was born 2015, my daughter 2019. So I had this triple or quadruple challenges of being in a marriage that is toxic, building my business, raising 2 little children, and also like taking care of myself. And even though I was in this difficult situation, I had my big business breakthrough back in January 2021. I already shared about this in, I think, the first or the second episode. But what was it really like to be in this toxic relationship? Now I know he is a narcissist. Back then, I did not know. And I will share with you how I found out. So to the outside world, outside of our relationship, when he spoke with other people, he was always very supportive towards me and he spoke in the highest words about me. But inside, towards me, it was the exact opposite. I really felt like a bad person. I treat him badly. I'm self-centered. And also I was spending way too much money for my coachings, for courses, for my personal development to become a better business owner, develop better mindset, learn new skills. And also he always accused me of that it's taken way too long after having all these coaching and courses to finally have the big business breakthrough, to finally make the big money. So I felt really unsupported, like because I did everything that I was able to do to have all this power, to have all my energy, to put all my energy into raising my 2 little kids and in building my business. And then I had zero support at home. And it got even worse because there were situations when he would just start a fight, start some drama just a couple of minutes before I either have a client call or even before I wanted to start a live webinar. I was hosting live webinars and he would just fucking picking a fight in that moment. So this was super difficult. So I was living in constant stress. Like every day were stressful moments. Every day was tension. But then, of course, in these moments where I especially need support, where I needed him to take the kids, go outside with them so that I have it quiet at home, to be able to do my thing, to be able to do my live webinar. But no, it was the exact opposite. It was stress just before this. So how did I manage this? How did I deal with that? And I think I was so lucky that I was a professional athlete, that I learned to flip the switch. Because I had moments like this in my professional career as well as an athlete, where something privately was going on, something emotionally that triggered me. But on the other side, I had to perform in the moment. So I really had to be able to tell myself, okay, look, this is my private stuff right now. This has nothing to do with my professional sports career. So I need to push this aside and deal with this later. And now the priority is really to perform, to be here, to be in this competition, and to really give my best. So I had some practice for some years. And also one of my coaches that I had at that time, he really helped me to understand that, yes, we have a private life, but we also have a professional life. And it's super important to make the switch, to learn how to make the switch. And I managed to learn it. So, and really, this is something that helped me in these situations. And I don't say it was easy because in my human design, I am emotionally defined. So I am all the day in my emotional wave, and I have a strong emotional wave. So when I was in these stressful, dramatic, fighting moments, I felt intense emotions in that moment. But I took a moment for myself. I was like, I really forced him to leave me alone in this moment. I really managed that he left me alone in these moments, that we can talk about this, fight about this later, because this is super important now that I do my live webinar. So just before I started, before I went live, I had a minute or 2 minutes to be by myself again, to be in my own aura. And I was just like really breathing, to calm myself down and to like really say like, okay, no, I'm going to focus on this now. Okay, what am I going to talk about now? What do I want to share? And this really helped me to not go down this emotional spiral, but to really manage to bring my emotional wave up again, or at least be more neutral again. And then to be able to share professionally what I want to share in my live webinar. So yes, this is really a skill that I learned. And I don't know about you, if you experience situations like this as well. And if you did, I would really love to hear from you. How do you manage to regulate yourself in these moments? Have you learned regulation tools, or do you maybe need to cancel the live webinar that you had planned because your whole system is completely out of order and you didn't learn a way yet how to regulate yourself so that you can really make the switch from being in personal private drama to performing in your professional life? I would love to hear from you in the comments how you handled or handle these kind of situations. So for living like this for 6 years already, I stumbled across human design. That was back in 2020. And this finally gave me words to explain what I'm experiencing. That's at least what I thought. Because of course, I analyzed not only my human design, I also analyzed his human design. And then I really thought, oh, now I understand why he is like this. You know, things started to make sense because he had a 2-4 profile. And the polarity of the 4th line is between friendliness, kindness, and maliciousness. So, and I just thought, okay, his polarity is just very strong. It's very extreme. And that was an explanation for me. I thought just like, okay, he is like this, just on a very extreme level. Then also we always had some tensions because I have the 50-27 channel. That is the channel for raising kids, for building a business. So I was always dominant in our relationship when it came to how are we going to do stuff with the kids, because he only had gate 50. So gate 50 is the gate of values. So that means I have my own value system and he has his own value system. Just when it came to our kids, he could just not really contribute towards raising our kids based on his value systems. Because I have the whole channel. So I am in this moment dominant and he has to make a compromise. So there we always had tension because he always said like, oh, I have nothing to say when it comes to the kids. But this is just mechanics. I understood at this time also why it's like this. But this was one tension field. And then another tension field were our gates 59 that he has and my gate 6. So I was always the one regulating how much intimacy we have, how much distance we have. This is what gate 6 does. And because over the time, my gate 6 made me withdraw more and more and more and be open to intimate moments, even just like sharing intimate insights, to have open, intimate conversations was something that I was not able and willing to do and to have anymore. So knowing our human designs and knowing the dynamics between us when we are together kind of was this explanation for me. But still, it didn't make it feel okay. It still was super difficult for me, super draining for me. And then I thought, okay, when we finally make the move to the Caribbean, originally we wanted to move to Tobago. Then we ended up here in Costa Rica because Costa Rica was open at that time. And I wanted to get out of Germany in May 2021. So we made the move here. And I really thought and I had the hope that when we live in the Caribbean again, when he is back in the Caribbean, in the area where he came from, that something will change in our relationship, that he will feel like more like, I don't know, a man again, or being able to take some responsibility is much easier, building his own business much easier than it was in Germany. And then we arrived here in Costa Rica and I realized, nope, it's not like this. Nothing has changed. But still, I stuck with it for another year and a half before I finally reached the point of no return. And I get asked that sometimes why it took me so long to get out of it. And the answer is because it's not easy to get out of a relationship with a narcissist unless you have really, really reached the point of no return that I have reached in August 2022. And still at this time, I did not know, or I was not conscious about it, that I was in a relationship with a narcissist. I only figured that out about a year and a half after our separation. And it was when I met with his new girlfriend, well, at that moment, actually ex-girlfriend already. She wanted to meet me and share with me what she experienced and hear my experiences if I experienced something similar in our marriage. And when she shared all these crazy moments that she had with him, she also said like at some point she Googled narcissism. And then she realized like, oh yeah, all the things that I experience, all the red flags are narcissism. And that really like the scales fell from my eyes. And I realized like, fuck, okay, this explains everything. And I was so blind. But this is when you're inside. It's like you don't see the forest for the trees. And also my tool, human design, that I love so much and that is so helpful. In that moment, it was an explanation for me for his behavior. But it was not the right one because his behavior was way too extreme than to just be his human design. So I really had a blind spot there. So at that time, when I found out that he actually is a narcissist, I was finally living by myself. I had my own house with my kids, but that took 15 more months after our separation, actually, to get him out of my house as well. So even though we had broken up already, we still lived together, more or less, and I still experienced all the drama, all the tension, all the psychoterror for 15 more months. And only after I was really living by myself, I could feel like how my system could release, how I finally was able to breathe. And I felt good coming home because there were really moments where I was like, oh, fuck, now I need to go home. And then there will be some kind of stress moment again. So this was really at the end before he left my house. And now all these past years, I could really heal from this. I did some ayahuasca ceremonies because I thought they maybe help. Maybe they did. I went through some journeys during these ceremonies. So I think it helped at least a little bit. And now I can really feel a difference in my nervous system. Back at that time, I didn't even realize that my nervous system is like here all the time, constantly on high alert. Yes, I knew and I felt that it was super stressful and super difficult, but I could not name that it's my nervous system. It's affecting my nervous system and it makes me be on the high alert all the time and it's stressing me out all the time. But afterwards, I could feel like when my nervous system finally calmed down, then I was able to actually feel it. And now I can feel when it goes up, but also I feel how I come down again, how I calm down, how I balance myself. So this was really a healing process to calm my nervous system down. And now I'm in a relationship where I finally experience this support that I was always looking for. And when I have something important to do, that he is there for me, my partner. And he gives me the space that I need to do what I need to do. So now maybe you're wondering like, yeah, Judith, but how did you manage to build your business, to have 5-figure launches, even though you were in a toxic marriage? And you had 2 little children. And the reason is that I'm very resilient. I think also I learned this as an athlete, or I have it in me. But being an athlete was really so helpful to be resilient, but also to be focused and disciplined. I mean, I have a 3-5 profile. So the 3rd line is very resilient. The 5th line is very solution oriented, disciplined. This is what I have inside of me that kept me going all the time. And then, of course, also the hope that my relationship would be better because I was constantly trying to work on it. But if you have a narcissist as a partner who does not know this, who does not see this, who is not willing to work on himself and to really make the relationship better, you have no chance. One single person can't make a change. So you can only look after yourself and really see how can you regulate yourself? What can you do for yourself to keep up your energy and to continue to work on the things that are important for you? So yes, really my resilience, my discipline, and my vision. I had this vision and I still have this vision that I want to build something big with my business and I want to help women outside there that tick like me, that also want to have their own business, that want to live their own freedom, be financially free, but also be free from a job and be able to move to a different country, be able to travel whenever they want, be able to provide a beautiful life for their children. So this really was and still is my vision. And that kept me going and not giving up. So with sharing this part of my journey with you, I really want to empower you. I want to give you hope and I want to empower you. So first of all, if you are in a toxic relationship, you need to get out there. If your partner is not willing to really work on himself, you have no chance. And this might sound super hard for you. And like you can't even imagine leaving him maybe because you still love him and you try to do everything that you can, everything that's in your power to keep this relationship or to keep your family together. That's especially even more difficult when you're married and when you have children. If I wasn't married and if I had no children, it would have been so much easier for me to already leave much earlier. I tried to leave, but it was just not possible. He always found his way back. He always manipulated himself back to me. So that my good heart said like, okay, let's try again and let's try again and let's try again and hope that it gets better. But from my experience, I can tell you it does not get better. So find your way out there. But if you're still inside and you really want to build your business, you want to keep building your business because maybe you need to find a way to provide for yourself when you leave this relationship. You know, when he is the provider, the financial provider, of course, then it's even more difficult as a woman to leave this behind because this is your security, your existential security. But even that's not everything. Even if you decide to leave him and you have no idea how to provide for yourself, also there is help. There are family, there are friends, there are official institutions that can help you. But what do you do now when you're inside this? So it's so important that you get as much time for yourself as possible, that you get as much retreat time so that you can really, first of all, regulate your nervous system, regulate your emotional state, focus on what has priority for you, focus on what are the important things that move the needle in your business. And then that you also have enough time to really work on your business, not only in your business with some of the clients, but also on your business so that you can grow. And of course, what helps you is to learn about your human design, to understand how do you energetically work, what do you need, and for your business, how do you show up in the most authentic and aligned way so that it gets easy for you to build your business, to market yourself, to build your brand, to attract the right clients. And yes, even though human design in that moment for me, or his human design, was the blind spot, why I did not see that's actually narcissism behind it. But human design is an amazing tool to find this out. Also, I work with astrology as an additional tool, and I'm really good at that. I'm really good at reading you, at finding out exactly, at pointing the finger on the things that you need for your energetic resources, for building your business, for your marketing, your messaging, your communication, how to show up also visually in your brand. So if you feel with your business, you really have reached a ceiling and you have no idea how to grow, how to break through the ceiling to reach the next level, or maybe you are in this toxic relationship, but you are looking for answers. You need more clarity and you want to find out about yourself on a more conscious level and what can you do and what is necessary and healthy for you. And also, and this is super important because I get this as a feedback from clients who also were in toxic relationships, that you get permission to be yourself and you will remember who you are. Because that is also something that I have experienced and where human design was super helpful for me. You know, when you have somebody on your side who tells you all the time, like with words or with actions, that you are a bad human being, that you are not right the way you are, that you are doing the things the wrong way, that you're not worthy anything, all this shit. When you learn about your human design and you find out like, hey, wow, this is me. This is how I am. This is how I'm born to be. And I am right the way I am. This is so empowering and it's so relieving. And it finally gives you the permission to be yourself, to show up as yourself. Not that you need permission, but yes, very often we do need permission because somebody else is telling us otherwise. So in whatever situation you are, if you feel you would like me to look at your human design, you would like me to look at your business and to help you move forward with wherever you are and wherever you want to go, I'm inviting you to reach out to me. And then we can do a personal human design reading so I can help you on your personal private level, or we can do a business reading and I help you move the needle in your business for your marketing, your messaging, your branding. And we really find out what it is that you need so that you can move on and that you can build the successful business that you are here to build, so that you finally can fulfill your vision and live the life that you want to live, either just for yourself or if you have children, then also for your children. You are worthy and you can have it all. And it's so important that you put yourself first. And I really hope that this, what I shared with you, gave you a little bit of hope, gave you maybe now a small light at the end of the tunnel. And now it's just on you to make a decision to move towards this light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm here for you. So if this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. And leaving a 5-star review means that more people will find the show. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'll see you in the next episode.